Okay, we're back. So anyways, what I wanted to show you, and you can't see it with longer hair, you can see it more with shorter hair, but his hair on this side grows in this direction. I'm not sure whether you can see that growth pattern or not, but when that happens, what's going to happen is exactly this. It comes up to the parietal line. And even though it's cut the same way, it's still going to look slightly shorter. So I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to get rid of this corner that I can see right there. And sometimes you have to take your clipper sideways. You know, you have to direct it in the way to pick up that hair. So you can see that laying just a little better. And just barely use this part of the clipper to clean this up a bit before we do the top. So right now, what's this called? It's called polishing the haircut. To make sure that we're in there, that we're totally cleaning this up. But this very definitely grows forward. Now, I told you in the past, one side of your head grows forward, one side of your head grows back. That's why. This side of his head, look at how much nicer that lays. That lays down. This part is, instead of growing so much in this direction, it's actually just growing straight down. So it's going to lay a little better. The biggest problem is, how do you know what to do when that's happening? And sometimes, again, the trusty texture shear. That's what you're going to use to clean it up with. I'm traveling around. I'm going to take it up to the parietal line, clean them up a bit right there. And he wants me to clean up his beard just a bit along this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the comb and hold it out just to it a bit. Hold it out just a bit to get rid of some of that. And it will lay just a little better. So it's always better when you hold the comb out, you're leaving it longer. When you hold it flat to the head, you're making it shorter. So we don't want to necessarily hold it flat to the head. You notice I'm pulling away as I get closer to the area up above, or right at the temporal area. Let's just identify it. So we know that these sides, this grows in this direction. He's got a growth pattern in this direction here. And at the center, you see that it comes to the center, and this just kind of travels. Not as hard line as this, but it's definitely there. So I want to clean this up just a bit more. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the top down. Before we trim him, before we clean up the edges, we're going to go ahead and take that top down. Now, what have we talked about before with the top? Cutting side to side. I'm going to tell you, you watch people in the mall. Just people watch. Determine what type of haircut they've got. What you're going to see in side to side is you're going to see lines going in this form. Remember, when you're doing the top above the parietal line, above the, and even this doesn't really look bad with that little bit of a shag work that we did. And he still comes up. Let me wet this a little bit, because now we're going to strictly do shear work. I've told you before, do not cut with the clippers on wet hair unless you want to keep replacing your blades. Now again, we can see where one side grows forward, one side grows back. He's popping out a little bit right there, isn't he? See that? That just says, I want to play. I want to go out there. Well, we don't want it to, so there we go. So we can take this and still ducktail it back here. And because of the longer hair, it's hiding the hair underneath. Another factor is you see these guys that want that longer hair, so they ponytail this. So you definitely would want to clean this up a whole lot more. But being that we're going to blend it, so what I want to show you is first I'm going to cut it side to side, which is not recommended for the top if you want volume. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to use the bangs as a guide right now. There they are. I want to make sure that you guys see this. And again, cameraman, don't worry about seeing me. Make sure that the audience can see what's going on. Side to side. Okay. Traveling guide. There's my guide. Travel back. You see that this is being held straight up from where it grows. Side to side. And by the way, this is also your flat top. You would cut the top straight across. And you see that we're just above the parietal line. And then I want to come back to the apex, the end of the apex, traveling into the crown, into the occipital, into the vertex. The vertex is just above the parietal line. And also, what else do you see at the vertex? Let's see how much you guys have been listening. What else do you see at the vertex? Cowlicks. That's where the cowlicks are. Now his cowlicks aren't too strong, which just makes it nice, but you can see that right there. So that's the vertex. The vertex, the length of the vertex is exactly where the cowlicks are. Now this is on the normal cowlicks. Sometimes you're going to find, a third one there, right at the center crown. You're going to find cowlicks sometimes up at the frontal fringe area. But do you see how that's just kind of falling? And here it is. There's that line. And on certain hairs, certain hair types, there it is right there. See it? Pick it up. There's that hard line. And you see where the hair is now splitting and not necessarily creating something that we want. So we've got that part. Now here's a question for you. Do you want it to spike up? Do you want to be able to comb it back? Do you want to comb it to the side? What?
Comb back.
You just want to be able to comb it back?
Comb back or to the side, yeah.
Okay. So he's, some guys, they do still want to pop it up a little bit. In other words, what's that saying when he says, I want to comb it to the side, I want to comb it back? That's saying, I need some length up there. So I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to blend it with the sides. I'm going to blend it with that parietal line. See it? There's my guide. So that's what I'm going to blend it with. So then we can get that hair to travel back. Once I've done that, then I'm going to cut it front to back. So you can see what happens when we make that decision. Now see all those lines right there? I hope you can see them because it stops there, and this one stops in the back. So that's what happens when you cut it side to side. When we cut it front to back in a little bit, you're not going to see any of that. There's just going to be a nice, smooth flow. The other part to that is, now, for wavy hair, you may want to cut it side to side. That already has volume. We're talking about when people want volume in their hair. So I'm going to bring this out. I'm going to let my shear help me. There's my guide, right? That's the length I want. So I'm going to take this straight across. Now it falls into the length that I want. Kind of looks a little bit like a bowl cut right now. Bring it over. Get rid of some of that length. And I'm blending it with that side. But remember, this comes forward. So what do I need to do? Hold it down a little bit. And now I'm getting a little bit more of an even line there. It comes forward. So what does it do? It travels. So you see that travel line right here. This is why. There's your why on that. So when you see this, it appears to be a little longer. That's when you change the position of your comb. Instead of flat in that form, we hold it flat in this form to take it off and now make it even. There's your why, there's your how. Nope, flip it right down. Hope I didn't mess it up again. Okay, just put it in there. It's my little trimmer. Otherwise, I have to use my Oster with my 000 to clean them up. Okay, so we're going to bring this over, and you see that we're taking it at the part. I'm going to go ahead and do a center part on him. So we have two guides. We're going to have this guide, and we're going to have this guide. So I'm going to bring it over, so I can see it a little more clear. See it? Bring it over, see it a little more clear. Okay? And now, and I want you to see what happens with the front, what happens when hair travels. Turn around a little more. Do you see the length? This hair traveled over, so then we have length now. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it, let my shear help me. I'm going to take it to that very center. I know I want about that much length, and this comes more from experience, you guys. So now I'm going to do it front to back. And remember, even on the head form, this travels down from the apex. The apex is going to be your shortest point. So when you get up to the frontal fringe, even though I'm holding it straight and flat, that frontal area grows down. So do you see the variable in the length? These are visual things. So I'm going to take it up to the upper ridge. Take it up to the upper ridge here. And this is what I want you to see on this side. There are no lines. It's just a nice flow. Now I'm going to have to use the texture shear on this side because he grows in this direction so heavy. All right, now let's look at the other side before, and then let's bring it up. I want to get my guide right there. All right, found it. And again, this side, because of the cowlick, and he's apparently got a growth pattern in the front as well, as far as what direction does that hair want to grow. What direction does it want to move into? What direction do we want to see? There you go, see that? All right, so now I'm going to take it, bring that up to the apex before I cut it. I don't want to take this too short. When you have a problem with cowlick sticking up right here, you draw it up to the apex and clean it up right there. Now, have I taken it side to side at the crown? Yes. The reason for that, if I take it front to back, I'm going to get a little more lift. And you can see that popping up right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim those edges. Now it's laying down. There's strength in numbers. So at the crown, at the vertex, you do want to go side to side. You only take it up to the end of the apex when you want to go front to back. The reason for the front to back is because we want that, see that nice natural volume he's getting there? So now I'm going to use my texture shear to really clean him up. To get that hair to lay the way that I want it to lay, and again, I want it to go back, right? And he wants it to go to the center or possibly a side part, and it's his own natural part. You notice I'm traveling with the comb as I'm cutting 1, 2, 3, and look at that hair start laying back. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the hair will just automatically lay back by itself with your texture shear as you polish the cut. Travel and just keep snipping away. If you find like a little heavy spot there, which I'm seeing right now, right here at the lower ridge at the occipital, and I'm going to take him. Get that wire again. Okay, so now you see that this is laying down. And I'm trying to get it to go back. It doesn't want to go back, does it? Okay, now I'm going to have to put my arms up a little bit for you to see this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then just take it back. That's starting to lay back. Go up a little higher, up into the apex. And you see that hair starting to lay back. Now I'm going to take that frontal fringe area. The thing to be careful, now this young man, my grandson, has got enough hair for almost 36 people. So he's good with that. He doesn't have to worry about not enough hair. So be careful about people with fine hair and the texture shear. Yes, you can texturize people with fine hair. Now see how that just, it got rid of the hard line, it smoothed it. It just totally, your texture shear is what you need to know about it. It's a gold mine for you. Now, do you see his cowlick right there? This way. I want it covered up. And the other way. Much better. And I want to clean up this area here that's sticking up. Now what I'm going to do this time, because that's sticking out, isn't it? I'm going to take it horizontally. I want those things to lay down. So what direction is my texture shear? So you can direct the hair as you cut it just by doing that alone. Now I want to make sure we have a corner right here, and I'm going to show it to you. That's where that part is, and you can definitely see that corner right there. Does longer move shorter, or does shorter move longer? Okay? Shorter moves longer. There, that's better. That longer piece says I'm not going down because I'm longer. Shorter piece says, yeah, you're coming down. So you take care of those problems. Now there's one more thing I want to do for him. And that's because I wanted to lay, well, there's actually a couple more. I'm going to wet that down first before I do that one more thing for you guys to see. Now see how that's laying back? Real nice. And he's got the volume, and if he wants to wear it to the side, he can. That is not a problem on either side, because we've taken it and we have recommended to this hair what's the best for it. So I dropped my little trimmer the other day. I'm hoping it works, because if not, I gotta get a blade for it. But, all right, so I'm going to clean this up. Take his beard and just kind of clean it up. Now, I showed you how to do this, right? Take it, make a half moon. You don't have to guesstimate it. And I've seen barbers that are amazing with this without doing that. They just get it perfect every time, but isn't that practice makes perfect? Okay, so I've taken it to the lower nape. We know that he grows in this direction, so we could safely take him across. Do you want it squared off or rounded in the back? Squared off. Most guys do want it squared off. So I'm going to take care of this side. I'm going to comb this forward. I'm going to take him up, clean him. Now if you want to create that corner there, really clean it up, you just press the clipper into it, and you can see that that created that hard line right there. So I'm going to bring his ear down, I'm going to hold it, and then place it on my finger. Do you see how on my finger is helping me? I'll bring it forward, create that half moon. So if you have a problem with that, there's your answer for that. We got a little long piece right there that didn't shave, so that's okay, we got it for him. Now I'm going to have him lean forward, and I'm going to take him straight across to the center, and then straight. Remember I said side to center, because the likelihood of you taking one side and making it shorter than the other becomes extreme when you go straight across. So here's that one more thing I'm going to do that I want to show you. And again, I've shown this to you before. I've done it before, but I want this hair to really lay nice. And when you cut hair with a shear, depending on how the hair falls, you're actually cutting just a straight line. However, when you go in with the razor, you're going to cut an angle. In other words, you're going to take an edge off, and you're going to create a point. That edge is then going to force that hair to lay even better. So I'm going to take it now. I'm going to use my Tondeo. And extensive razor work, it just takes a lot of practice, all right? I'm going to do a sculpture cut. Now what I want you to see that my fingers are rotating my blade. I'm not holding it like this and using my whole wrist. My fingers are doing the work for me. I know that I need to approach this hair at a 45-degree angle, but I'm going to pretend that his hair is whipped cream, and I want to make it really smooth without digging down into it. So I'm going to comb it, and then I'm going to stroke it. Comb it, stroke it. And you'll feel it. It's almost like it's scratching it. Comb it, stroke it. Now, when you get real good at this, this is what you're going to be doing. You're not good right away, all right? 54 years says something, and I am a master razor cutter. And like I've said before, when I went to school, we didn't pick up shears. Everything was done with the razor. So I appreciate that now. And many times I'll tell my students as I teach them, you don't know what you know because you haven't been around it. Well, at that time, I didn't know what I knew. I'm ever so grateful for the school that I went to. They were very strict, but the good part about it, you teach like you were taught. So yeah, I'm very strict with my students. I'm very detailed with my students, very specific with my students. But you have to be as a teacher. You're either going to teach or you're going to show. And I'm here to teach. Now see how much smoother that is? Look at that just lay. It almost looks like single hairs traveling back. That's what you're looking for. I'm going to take him up here. And razor only wet hair. Now I see a lot of artists out there that do a process called slide cutting. Well, that's just like razoring it. Your shear is like a razor. It's sharp. And when you slide cut dry hair, although they usually slide cut it down, which is not a bad thing because they're going down with the cuticle. However, the drawback on that is it tends to fray or make the hair look like it's got some dead ends in it. Because it's, in some cases it will actually split that cuticle. So the hair has to be either damp or wet when they do it. When it's done dry, the likelihood of that happening becomes extreme. Okay, so now I'm going to tousle this. Do you see how he's just going to be able to get up in the morning, push his hair back? He's not going to have a problem with it. Tousle it, mess it up, bring it forward, goes right back. So when he's out swimming or whatever, gets out in the rain, all he's got to do is use his fingertips and pull his hair right back. I hope you've been able to learn. Now, with a little bit of gel, it'll definitely stand back even more. I hope you've been able to get some information from this. I hope you've learned from it. I hope I've answered some questions for you. Now, he says he wants to comb it to the side sometimes. So we're going to bring it over to the side. Bring it down. Make sure it lays right. So both ways. All right? He looks handsome either way. Doesn't matter. My preference, I like it back. I like it like that. I think it looks much nicer. So I hope you've gotten some information. Like I said, when I'm too close to it, usually when I have a client and I want to see the back, I don't want to see any dark spots, I turn them around and I look through the mirror. Because what I see through the mirror is what you see when you look at somebody else's haircut. When you're standing too close, you can't see it. It's not going to be visible to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a little bit of gel on him. Get this to smooth down a bit. And slightly pompadourish, but not too much. And this is what I want to show you. Look at how nice that growth pattern is. See, he grows beautifully on this side. Now look at how this side makes you want to take it all off right there. Take it short way up there, because what? It grows in a different direction. So some things when clients come in, it's not you, it's them. And you have to advise them. Your hair has got a strong growth pattern growing forward right there. You know, they can only do so much with it, because what do they want? They want it all to lay back smooth. Well, if you wanted it all to lay back smooth, we would have had to have left some length in there and let that length do it for them, but then they don't want length. So the areas that you know about hair cutting become extreme as far as the whys, hows, and then do it. All right? Take care. God bless. I really hope you got something out of this. Have a great day.